Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news and, well, two blokes chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
That is the silky sounds of Bec Goring. Now you're thinking to yourself, Bec Goring, that's a bit coincidental. I'm sure there's a Geelong footballer who called that. Well, let's see if we can talk to this person on the telephone who might be able to explain that little dilemma. Good morning to you, Bec Goring.
Good morning, Neil. How you going?
Oh, I'm very, very well indeed. We've chatted on this program before, and the first question I asked you then is the first question I'm going to ask you now. Are you a muso who plays footy or a footballer who plays music?
I'm undoubtedly a musician playing footy, I reckon.
And the people who don't know you are thinking, well, she's certainly a musician. She's a really, really, really good singer. But we know you also as a really good footballer as well. So let's talk music first of all, and let's get a little bit of a sense of your history and how you got involved in music and so forth. I do have to ask you this question, though, and if it's not an incredibly personal question, if it is, then you can go, no, I'm not going to tell you. Where were you born?
I was born in Geelong, actually.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
St John of God.
Why did I think...
I think I was... Actually, this is probably too much information, but I was probably conceived down by the Lawn Caravan Park River somewhere there.
Yeah, probably has a little bit too much information. Why did I have Geraldton in my head?
Geraldton? I don't know. Maybe that's a fake Wikipedia page somewhere.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have put it on your Wikipedia page. No. Okay, that blows my musical theme out of the water because every other song we've had today has been by an Australian artist who was born overseas. So we've had a little bit of Olivia Newton-John, a bit of Max Merritt and a little bit of Marty Roan. So it would have been really good if you had said, Tasmania or something. At least it would have been. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. So a Geelong girl who grew up and went to school in this part of town, obviously then, if you've never been and lived in Geraldton. How did you get involved in music as a kid?
I just started around the family. I saw my brother playing guitar and the interest sort of started pretty young when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and then Mum and Dad put me into music lessons, and then from there I pretty much ended up in the Sweethearts, which was based out of Matthew Flinders in Geelong.
Yep.
And then, was given lots of really great musical opportunities through that, both locally and overseas. So then that kind of flowed on into studying uni, and then, I've been playing as a session guitarist for a few different bands since then, which has been great.
And am I right in saying, because again, I've already blown it out of the water with my complete lack of knowledge of where you were born, but am I right in saying that you are doing the equivalent of a player who gives away their career and then comes back and coaches the team? Is that what you're doing at Matthew Flinders at the moment?
I was, at one stage. I was working at Matthew Flinders, just focusing on music now. Yeah.
Okay, so you've just disappeared down a little hole there. At the reception where you are is not necessarily the best, but that's okay. So you are now playing music full time, is what I think you said. How does someone like you, who just goes through a school, learns music, how do they establish themselves as a muso?
Yeah, it's hard because there's no obviously they equip you at uni with all the technical skills that you need, but a big part of the music industry is, making friends and establishing proper relationships and friendships with people that, then go and get you jobs and work gigs and that sort of thing. So, I've kind of just spent my time hanging around bars in Melbourne and meeting different people, going to friends' gigs and sharing different people's music. And, I've just been lucky enough to meet a few of the right people and, had enough work to call myself a muso.
And there'd be a lot of people listening to this who spend a lot of time hanging around bars in Melbourne, but none of them can play music like you can. They just hang around bars in Melbourne. So guitar is your instrument of choice. Do you play anything else?
Yeah, mostly guitar, a little bit of bass, but mostly guitar.
Okay, so you're a real musician then. Like if you had said drums, we'd have to discount that, but that's okay. Now, in terms of the songwriting thing, 'cause, a number of the songs that you have released, you've written, haven't you?
Yeah. All the songs on the last EP I did and this upcoming album will be all written by me,
Including the one that we just heard, which is a song called Defeat. How does one start writing songs? That's always been a fascination to me.
Yeah, I guess every artist has got their own process. For me, I do a lot of journaling and jamming with my loop pedals. I'm really into using different effects on the guitar. So yeah, I've just kind of been experimenting with that over the last 12 months, and then I kind of put all of those experimental sounds together with the words that I've been writing, and then put it together to make a song, and then I just really play it as loud as I can until my housemates complain and say, "Have you finished writing that one yet?" And stop playing it, turn it down.
So, is there then a process that you say, right, I reckon I've nailed down this song. Let's use Defeat as an example, and you sit down a couple of friends and say, right, what do you reckon of this one?
Yeah, I kind of do a whole lot of recording of the track in different ways. So I'll just with an iPhone, I'll do a few different versions of it. I might change the chords or the melody slightly. I know I did that a lot with Defeat. There was a whole lot of different draft versions, some faster, some slower, and then kind of letting it sit for a while is always a good idea for me. And then coming back to it and listening with fresh ears, and sort of you kind of just have an ear for which one is the best version and which will resonate with other people the most.
And I guess if we go back to when I was your age, that's just me sounding like I'm incredibly old. Hey, guess what? I can announce this on radio now. I haven't been able to announce this before. I'm going to be a granddad soon.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I didn't do much, obviously, but yes, very exciting news in March next year. So there will be a play between the Brisbane Lions and the Geelong Cats to see who the child follows in regards to the AFLW, hashtag just saying. Donations accepted. But
I'll send you a little jumper.
That'd be the go. That'd
condition the child early.
Yeah, with a little tiny 44 on the back.
Sounds great.
Excellent.
That's a perfect number.
Sold. But yeah, in terms of, I've completely lost my train of thought now. Oh yes, go back 30 or 40 years, and people would write down music on a piece of paper, and then if they'd have to go to a recording studio. I guess the arrival of technology and the ability to record stuff on your iPhone, that must just make things so much easier to capture it. Not easier to write the music necessarily, but easier to capture it, and I suppose fiddle with it as well.
Yeah, definitely. New technology's been great. GarageBand, Ableton, it's also easily accessed on your laptop from home. I know with this record that we just recorded, I really wanted to have that live kind of feel for the songs.
Yep.
So we actually recorded 4 people in a really tiny little studio room up in Castlemaine, and we mostly just hit record and just laid all the tracks down all at the one time. So I had that.
Yeah, so
it's for young musicians and old musicians, like the technology we've got now, it's really good quality, and you can just at a click of a button, have something there to produce.
Well, earlier in the program, we interviewed Mike Rudd, who, of course, a legend of the Australian music scene, and he was part of a band called Spectrum, and the stuff that he had to carry around to perform was so extensive in its size, they actually formed another band called the Indelible Mertseps, where they had a cut-down version. They didn't have to take everything with them. Meanwhile, Bec turns up with her iPhone and her iPad and her guitar, and away she goes. It's quite outstanding. I think I know the answer to this question, but we should address it. The impact on you of the COVID-19 and not having anywhere to play, that must have been pretty devastating.
Yeah, it's really devastating. I'm in a lucky position. I can still write and create from the comfort of my home, but definitely having that lack of live performance and touring, and particularly travelling interstate for a lot of musicians has had a huge impact on the financial hardship of lots of people, and mentally as well. It's just so different, not getting that adrenaline hit of playing live and connecting with people before, during and after shows. So COVID's had a pretty big impact, but there's ways around it, like Instagram Live, gigs and that sort of thing, things like Isolate Music Festival online. yeah, there's still a little way to go to navigate those kind of things, but yeah, it is what it is.
And have you got any gigs now on the horizon since the weekend now will move a little bit more freely in regional Victoria?
Not at this stage. I'm looking to do, just before Christmas, doing some house concerts, just to some small groups of people. So if anyone's interested in having me play in their home, it'll be a small lineup of musos, but yeah, get in contact and we'll see what we can do.
Bec Goring Music on Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one.
And they can get in contact with us and we'll pass on their details to you. We'll come back to your music in a minute because we want to talk about your new record, but let's just have a quick chat about footy as well. As we've already indicated, you were one of the foundation players, weren't you?
Yeah.
At the Cats. In fact,
yep.
I remember running into you before we knew each other out at the Box Hill ground. You kicked a ball at one of your teammates in the warm-up and missed her by about 15 metres, and the ball hit me in the back of the leg. But I don't hold a grudge.
Classic.
But the footy this year, not having VFLW, has been painful in the extreme for people like myself and Rob who love getting along and watching VFL and VFLW footy. I would have thought the competitors would be driving themselves up the wall at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. That's left a big gap in the footy pathway, not having that VFL run this year. I know that you'd definitely be missing it, Neil. But yeah, it's I've got a lot of I can't think of the word. I know that Geelong are really on top of knowing who that up-and-coming talent are.
Yep.
And, those girls will definitely get the opportunity to play at the highest level and just at generally a high level of footy when it comes around. Has there
been any indications given as to what the AFLW season is going to look like this year?
Yeah, we've had a few meetings. We check in with the footy club probably once a week just via Zoom meeting. At the moment, it looks like November will be, we'll have all our Melbourne-based players down in Geelong, training as a full team, but in groups of 10, similar to the men's. And then there's a whole lot of COVID protocols on top of that, which are really important. But it'll take some time, I think, to get our heads around temperature checks and, sterilising balls and all that sort of thing. So, it'll look a little bit different internally, but I think externally, once the season kicks off, it'll look great. It'll be awesome.
And I guess the thing that would be of some concern, less of an issue at VFLW level, but at AFLW level, travel protocols are going to come into it as well, aren't they, given that there are teams interstate? Yeah,
spot on. So I think WA are pretty well free to train as per usual at the moment, same with Adelaide, but Victorian-based teams are far more restricted at this stage. But I think there's no real talk of hubs or anything at the moment. It's mostly just those smaller training groups, figuring that out. And there's also the issue of you've got part-time athletes, so you can't ask the girls to give up their jobs to play footy.
Yeah, absolutely. That was what was going through my head.
Move into state. That would be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, and a financial nightmare too, you would think, because they'd have to compensate the people for their work, I guess, and there's the cost associated. And the AFLW is not turning a huge profit at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. See,
if only you had been born in Geraldton, you'd be training normally now, wouldn't you? Because you'd be with West Coast, or whoever's over there. Fremount's got a team as well, haven't they? So, anybody that coming through the list that we should keep our eye on this season?
Off the top of my head,
except number 44 in the back line, of course. She's our fave.
We've got actually AFL listed already. We haven't seen Mia Skinner yet, so she's a really, really handy forward that was injured last season for our AFLW girls, but she's flying from what I'm told at the moment, so she's really crafty around the goal face. And with no Kate Darby, she's off having a baby.
Yes.
I think, that'll open up for our small forwards this year, and I reckon she's definitely one to watch.
I was talking to Kate's mum the other day when Kate announced her impending motherhood, and I think it's almost exactly the same day as my daughter, and we weren't ready to announce it yet. And Robin said to me, "So are you a granddad yet, Neil?" No, I'm not. So we've subsequently caught up, and Darbs and I have had a chat about it. We're very excited for Kate as well as obviously for Lucy as well. So no, it's good fun. So we will look forward to seeing the number 44 flashing around the back line of the Cats. Come when is it, January? Is that when it's going to start?
Yeah, February. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to the music scene then, because we probably should let you go and we should play this new song. We are chuffed that we have been selected, brackets, we insisted, that we get the world premiere on radio. And if we aren't the world premiere on radio, please just say that we are, because that's what I've been pumping.
Definitely are. Yeah.
We've been pumping it up all week. Bec, tell us a bit about the new record and then tell us a bit about the song. What is the new record going to be called?
The new record will be called Beware, and the single off that you're just about to hear is also called Beware as well. It's a bit of a revenge/love song. A few friends that I've showed, they said it's like some modern Shakespearean tragedy. I'm not sure how they got that.
Did they say that, or did they say it's just tragic? Because that's what happens when I sing. They say it's just tragic.
Yeah, maybe that's a nice way to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit heavier, a bit rockier than the last EP. But yeah, I'm excited for the world to hear it. It'll be really great.
Well, all of our listener will be hearing it very, very soon. We should get a GoFundMe page together for you to see if we can't afford a few more words in the title. I was saying to you during the week, you seem to have this thing with only having one-word titles in your song. Is that deliberate? Is that your little gimmick?
No, no, not at all. I think it must just be the footballer in me. Clear to the point, concise.
Get it forward quick.
It's either kick, handball, or run.
Yeah, because there are some artists that do that sort of stuff. I think Sam Brown, who was a pretty famous singer in the 80s, her first, I think, 7 albums she got to. The first one the name of the album started with S, and the next one started with A, and the next one started with M, and the next one started with B, and she was basically working her way through a name, and I don't know whether she's got there to the end of Sam Brown, but so the album is not yet out, so we've got the pre-release world premiere, if you don't mind. That's how big this program is. When's it likely to be out?
It'll be out on Monday.
Okay, and in the streaming services, presumably?
Yep, yeah, so it'll be on Apple Music, Spotify, everywhere that usually happens.
And will anyone be able to actually buy a vinyl or whatever the equivalent CD version, or is it only going to be online?
Just online at this stage, but I'm looking at doing a little run of vinyl in a couple of weeks. So, just stay tuned to the social media, and I'll let you know when that's coming.
Put me down for one.
Sounds great.
Autographed one, of course, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Bec Goring, thanks for joining us and having a chat on what is today One Bloke Chatting. Great to catch up. Looking forward to seeing you both with a guitar in your hand and a footy, not simultaneously, obviously, because that gets a bit tricky to manage, I would have thought.
Thanks so much for having me, Liam.
No worries at all. Here is Bec singing off the new album, the world premiere of her new single, Beware, on 94.7 The Pulse. Thanks, Bec.
Thanks.